but I'm not. Um,
Mm, speak on it.
what is up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Did you miss me?
No, we're not doing that. We're not
I
doing
said,
that.
did you miss me?
Mm-mm-mm.
Do I have any kittens in the crowd? Okay, but where my dogs at? Aaron, Avia, when are we gonna
Tomatoes,
get
tomato,
some
tomato,
humans?
tomatoes.
When are we gonna get some humans in the audience?
It's too early for this.
Is it though? Because it's 7:46. Our
It's,
neck of the woods, eight
it's too
46.
early. It's
Well, maybe
too
from the west side, the
early.
west coast.
Yeah, they
Oh
got a
sh.
whole. I ain't worried about. They got
Oh
a.
sh.
They got stuff.
Ooh, I think I fucked up. I think I fucked up on the job today, y'all. I think I did. I put the 13th. I thought today was the 13th. Today is 12th. Woo!
Ooh, ooh.
Mm.
This managing
I
Ooh,
in this
will.
economy.
I'll call my coworker and I'll let her know that needs to be adjusted as I adjust my collar. This is a little bit. There we go. Woo, but welcome, y'all. We back with the live, back with the fun, the times. As you can probably tell by my background, y'all. You know, we have we have a particular topic, hot topic. We want to roll on out. Mismanaging the payola.
payola. Payola.
Payola.
Now you have your
You want
payola.
payola?
Now you have your payola. You have your payola now, Q. Happy because you said each of us on but you. Now you have your payola.
I don't know what y'all are talking about.
Payola is a canon event.
No, no, it is not. Read my headline here, people, and you'll know what the truth is. What the T is. What's the T on canon events? You
No, no,
know.
no. You're not allowed to. That is not
No, cover
multiversity
this hard,
incorporated.
copyrighted. You're not allowed to use that
Oh my
on the live.
god. Next, you'll be telling me I'm not allowed to talk about Aladdin stuff too on multiversity stuff because y'all apparently got a stranglehold on that too, right? Can't
You
can't
gotta
talk
talk
about
about
that
art.
either, huh?
No, you made that one up. You made that one up.
Did I? Did I
Yes,
make
you
that
did.
up? Did I?
Yes, you
Did
did.
I? Or did I just follow the rules of engagement and let y'all know what needed to be talked about? And y'all said, you know what, Q, we like to cutter your jib. What up? What up? What up, Nicotine? What up? What up? I like the cut of your jib and everything like that. So yeah, y'all are. So for those who don't know, maybe people promised Aladdin to be talked about on the channel at some point in time. Maybe they didn't. They always ask. Every time I bring it up, they act like it's not their favorite movie or whatever. But we're not here to talk about Aladdin. That is one of the greatest animated movies of all time. We're here to talk about what is currently one of the greatest animated movies of all time and Across the Spider Verse in a myriad, and I mean myriad of ways. But before we get on to that, it's me, Q, here to give y'all the Spider Man 1, 2, and 3s. To my left, from where I'm sitting, it's Avia, and then right there on the bottom, it's Aaron. So yeah.
Oh, so he gets all those introductions, but we only get our names. Okay.
Well, considering, okay, I'm sorry. To the left of me, of course, y'all know her, y'all love her, y'all can't live without her. It's the judge, Aladdin's number 2 fan, Avia Knighton. And then right under me, you know him, you love him, you can't live without him. He is somebody who doesn't believe in consistency. He is the third most hyped person who likes Aladdin, Aaron.
Ooh,
So yeah.
ooh. Hyped enough to know all the history behind it. Yeah.
And then, of
Period.
course,
Period.
Mike normally joins us, but he is currently in his spaceship of getting ready to visit an alien superstar. So he is going to just be in the comments, turning up, having fun, interacting with us, getting the chat hyped and everything. So yeah, we got a lot to talk about tonight. Yeah. See, he's ready. He took the plastic off his sofa. You know, he Virgo grooved. You know, he recognized America has a problem. You know, he loves that pure honey. You know
It's all
what
up
I'm
in
saying?
your mind. Oh, I'm ready for that song, y'all. I'm like, well, that has really become like my favorite song on the album. I don't know why. It just speaks to me.
And most importantly, he can look at somebody and tell that they ain't no diva. So yeah. But tonight we are going to be talking about Across the Spider-Verse. We know it's been a month. Damn, it's really have been a month. But we have finally gotten all of our affairs in order. That sounded grim. We finally have gotten everything more or less in order for us to give y'all our thoughts and opinions on just the totality of Across the Spider-Verse and what it can mean and the larger implications. I, for one, am very, 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 very excited to talk about this because now I can talk about not just the story beats, but the spoiler arenas. And considering I am the biggest Spider-Man fan here, you know, I'm ready to drop the knowledge on y'all with the help of my comrades in arms and everything. Oh, I'm not stunning you, black people. I know I'm the biggest Spider-Man fan here, so y'all can pretend and front if you want to.
Whoa!
Y'all can do your bit. I don't know, Q. I'm a pretty big Spider-Man fan. Yeah, y'all can do that, but we know the tea. Like I'm not even finna give y'all that.
Here's what I'm going to here's what I'm going to say.
I'm positive.
Q's right, boy. As far as me personally, Q is right. As far as him being the bigger Spider-Man fan than I am, I will give him props. I will give him that. I will give him that. But don't underestimate my love for the character in these movies. Now that's all.
I won't. I just know that I love them more. We know who loves them the most. We know who loves them the least, and we know who's in the middle. You know, it's that simple.
I think that's a wild assumption, but I mean, for the sake of this show, I'm going to allow the slander. I'm just going to point out that in the spirit of this film, I think you and I are on the same level, but you need it more than me. You need that validation, so I'm here for it.
All I'll say is that I didn't come into this movie picking the one who wasn't down with the Brown. So that's all I'm gonna say.
Well, you know, I guess I just was a fan because he's trying to call me out, people.
What you not trying to call you out? I don't know what you're talking
about. For the anti-black character, but like,
period, Mike. Period.
Okay, like but you know, I will take that L, just because I was a fan of the comics and being such a huge Spider-Man fan, but not as huge as Q apparently, because like I said, he needs that. I'm almost certain though, we had the same sort of interactions with the character, same exact love, but I
mean that could be true, but then again, you weren't with me shooting in the gym with Spider-Man. You didn't boycott Marvel for 10 years.
And I was out in the streets. I was in the streets. I went to jail for this character.
You went to jail? You got some time? You did a bid?
You weren't with us.
Where's my old account at? Where's my old account? Exactly.
You weren't with us shooting in the pen. That's all I'm gonna say. You wasn't with us.
Where was you in the streets, huh?
Man, I was a street soldier.
Where was you?
I was a street soldier for this character. You know what I'm saying? I'm still a street soldier for this character.
Both of y'all were y'all's black forces. Both of y'all were y'all's black forces.
Yeah.
Well, at the end, somebody did wear some black forces, but that's a whole different topic.
Yes. So let's just go and hop on into it, y'all. Just and without really getting into it, what were you guys' overall feelings about this movie coming out of the theater?
We're not doing spoilers, right?
We're getting into spoilers.
Yeah, the movie's been out for a month now. Yeah, we can definitely do spoilers.
Yeah, we're getting into spoilers, but just just to start the conversation off proper, just without getting into like before we all get into our like detailed thoughts, what was our like initial reactions coming out of the theater after watching the film? You can start, Avia,
I
because
know what you're trying to
you
do.
were the first person to see it of us.
I was, but I know what you're trying to do. You ain't slick. I know
No,
what you're trying to do. You ain't slick, but I'll
I'm
do it. But I'll do it. I'll go first.
oh my
I know what you're
god.
trying to do. I know what you're trying to do, but it's
No,
all right.
I said
I'm trying to cheat.
no
I'm
because
trying to cheat.
we're not going into detail, so you can give your just. We're not going into detail just yet. We're just giving our general thoughts. So I'm not trying to set you up because I already said I agree with you for the most part about the film. So it ain't no setup. You was the first person I talked to about the film since we gonna peek behind the curtain.
And then he really left me like a 47-second or like a minute long voice message. after I told him what I thought, he left me like a minute long voice message.
Yeah, because Mike and Aaron was dragging their feet to see the movie, and me and you had already saw it, so I needed to. Then you were picking up and were accepting.
Don't stop throwing me under the bus on this episode.
I mean, vroom vroom.
But anyway, I thought the film was amazing. You know, the film was very well done. And it made you wanting more at the end. You know, the animation, like you could tell the thought and time they took into making it, because like when the first like 10-15 minutes are Gwen's story. I'm gonna get that. What's up, Ian? And I'm gonna get that to get to that part in a minute. But you know, Gwen's Earth looked like a painting. Maybe that animation looked more like a painting than like, you know, just regular animation that we're used to seeing in Miles's Earth. And then, you know, Miles' Earth pretty much still looks the same. And when he goes, you know, to see all the different Spider-Man, all the different Spider-Man are animated differently. Like the animation is blended so well, and they made it so easy to point out which Spider-Man is which. And even though there was a whole lot of them, they gave the right amount of time to the right amount of Spider-Man, except for one person. And I'm gonna get to that in just a second. But overall, I thought it was amazing. It's gonna go for a 2-peat. I think it's gonna pretty much do what The Godfather Part 1 and Part 2 did. It's gonna win. If it doesn't win, it's definitely gonna be nominated for Best Animated Movie for the Oscars next year. Mark my words on that. Like if it doesn't, there will be an uproar because of how well it is. And my only gripe, and it's only a personal gripe, and it's not really that big of a gripe. It's just the film, in my opinion, was told through Gwen. Miles' story was told through Gwen's point of view in this film, because the first 15 minutes, you know, we see Gwen's story, you know, we see her relationship with her dad, her relationship with Peter, you know, how she came to be with the other spider people. And I thought that was fine. I thought that was cool. But at the same time, I'm like, well, Miles' story, this is Miles' story. Like, this is his story. Why are we seeing Gwen first? Like I said, it's just a personal gripe to me. Like, it's not a major issue, but I was just questioning, like, why? Like, why is Gwen like the main focus? And like, she kind of has a little bit. When it's in HD, I'll probably calculate it a little bit more. But it felt like she had more screen time than Miles did, and I thought that was interesting, because why is Miles' story being told through Gwen's point of view in a way? And then at the end, you know, the end is Gwen and all the other spider people who are helping save Miles' parents. At the end, it ends on her. So I'm like, that is okay. All right. I mean, we get it. You know, she's going to save Miles' mom and dad from, you know, whatever Miguel is planning on doing. And it's just, that was weird to me. But anyway, I love the film. Great film.
Yes. Excellente observation and synopsis by Avia Knighton. A lot of the points I agree with, and then I'm gonna also touch on other topics, but we not finna we sprinkling it out. We letting it roll on out. We doing all we need to do. Now, Aaron, you go next. You let us know. You let us know what your initial thoughts were. You don't have to give the whole kit and caboodle away. We can only hop on into it, but you give us your initial thoughts coming out of seeing as. And I'm always interested to hear from you and Avia, about anything animated because, as y'all know, watching the A&A show, they are animation virtuosos who know history back, forward, sideways, and fronts across every multiverse, the omniverse, if you will. And I always love to hear from them. Y'all love to hear from them as well. We just heard from the amazing Avia, so let's hear from the amazing Aaron, the amazing A&A.
Well, thank you for that introduction. Sounds like we have to do some. We need to discuss some things for animation month because I ain't forgot.
Mm.
Oh,
And come August, I'm cooking. I'm cooking, and hopefully I don't burn down the house. But I'm cooking
animation
something.
month in August. Noted. Noted. Big noted. Yeah, we'll talk. Uh, Initial thoughts about this film. Let me get into my Roger Ebert bag for a second. I feel like it brought on some nuance to animated films that we've kind of been seeing, creeping up in the past maybe 10 or so years now again, and I really enjoy that. I really love the animation styles, plural, like Avia pointed out. I love that. I love the stories, just the whole story about being yourself and it's very simple, being yourself and fighting against the status quo. That's really what the movie's about. And I just appreciate all of that. And I do believe the comparisons have been made, but it's very reminiscent of Empire Strikes Back, just with the way the setup of the ending and everything. It's like it works. It works as a very snappy narrative animated film. And even then, the animated part, it shouldn't. There's a whole conversation there. You already know what it is. You've heard me say it a billion times, but it's a great film. There are some things that I got gripes with, but they're like super super small that we can get about later. But for the most part, it's just it's a really good film that everyone needs to watch. And I think this will hopefully, because there's a wonderful series out on Netflix right now. This will continue the renaissance of seeing us. We know who us is in animation as well as everything else. But it's nice to see change of pace, especially with these characters, because you can get the same storylines with Spider-Man 2 billion times in a row, but this is a nice change of pace. It's a breath of fresh air,
Mm-hmm.
especially if you're into this stuff, and even if you're not, it's just a good story. It's great, great stuff. A lot of Miles Morales fans are going to be growing up with some really great content. So there you go.
Whew. Another excellent breakdown in their opinions and their words.
Go for it, Q. I believe in you.
Oh, you
You
about to
know,
go in?
you know, I'm sitting here and I'm looking at some tweets I made over the last calendar year, you know, and I I I'm just rereading them back, and I don't want to be that person that say I was unequivocally right about everything I said in the lead up to this movie, but I was unequivocally right about everything I said about this movie in the lead up to this movie. Um, yeah, this is the single best superhero property graphic novel, whatever exists in the spectrum of superheroes, comic book characters that aren't superheroes, graphic novel characters who aren't superheroes, whatever we quantify that in, Across the Spider Verse in its own. It can never be topped. It will never be topped. I said this. I meant it, and I was proven correct because of the animators, because of the art direction, because of the direction in general. It puts itself so far ahead of everything else that, you know, will there be better movies? There already are, you know. But the fact that this movie exists on the same plane as a lot of the classics that are already out says a lot, not only about the superhero genre and what these characters can do when they are done well or done with love and care, but it also just shows the divide. I mean, from beginning to end, I'll get it out of the way now. The first 15 minutes, I was tearing up because, you know, I felt the emotion that they were giving, like that Gwen was giving off in that opening, and just seeing the tragedy of it all, and just as a Spider-Man fan, knowing that tragedy follows people who wear spider costumes like a shadow, and I knew it was going to be something fucking different because I'm like, okay, is it going to start like Into the Spider-Verse, like with the motif of like we're going to be experiencing something new? No, it started with a very somber tone. That was the first thing that I like. I'm like, oh, we're starting this. There's nothing like exciting. There's not like no happy upbeat. Like we're back in the Spider-Verse. It's like, oh man, this is gonna punch you in the soul, and it just didn't let up. Like it not like I'm not gonna sell it like it was a dour film, because like when we see Miles again, it feels like, oh, I'm happy to see my boy. I was like literally cheering for seeing Miles. But what I'm trying to say is that everything Aaron and Avia said were accurate to the letter. This was very like you'll hear a lot of directors say, oh, this movie is the Empire Strikes Back of this franchise, or this is the Empire Strikes Back, or this. This is literally the true successor to that concept in the best way imaginable, and it works completely. The acting is fantastic. Again, I cannot overstate this enough. Every single animator who touched that film in any regard did the damn thing. These are masters at their crafts, and you want to know something? The masters aren't like a small handful. There are hundreds, thousands of animators who are masters that need to be paid adequately, that need to be treated with care and admiration by these big companies, because they do shit like Spider-Verse. They put the time in for things like Spider-Verse, and they need to be respected and loved and given the opportunity to keep creating things like Spider-Verse. And as a person that enjoys animation, and but more importantly enjoys just great storytelling, they were masters at it. The storyline, the story of, you know, sometimes the thing you long for the most isn't always exactly what you think you need, and sometimes it's what's inside of you that gives you the true validation. That was a very strong message. And I will also say that this movie really wanted to piss you off to make you understand that point a lot, and it succeeded. And yeah, I love this film. This is I love it so much. I love it so very, very much. All right.
He cried, y'all. He really got in the car.
I did. That's no cap, no bullshit.
But that just shows like just how loved this character is. You know,
Exactly.
and we want to see the best for Miles, which is why Q was saying like this movie will piss you off. Because let's get to the brass tacks, shall we? Let's get into what this makes a bigger discussion out of the as we say, the meat and potatoes of what we're talking about today. So in the film, you know, when Miles follows Gwen into the portal and he goes, you know, into like it was Spider-Man India's world, Earth first. He goes there, and you know he starts to think, oh, there's all these different Spider-Man. You know, he thinks Gwen's on the side. You know, he meets Jessica. But Jessica's kind of like about him. She's like, I don't really like him, like because she doesn't really like Gwen like that. So it's like she's indifferent. Jessica's indifferent. But when he goes to where all the spider people are, we see that Miguel, the leader of the spider people, like he doesn't want Miles to be a part of this at all. Like he is very like he lets it be known that he does not want Miles to be a part of this. And we see that like Miles is a metaphor, analogy, whatever you want to call it, of black people in these nerd spaces, in these fandoms. And it makes you think like, yeah, they don't want us here. Like they've shown time and time again that they do not want us here.
Yeah, like it is. So this has been the consistent through line of like the deeper meaning because and it's spot on. I've said that Into the Spider-Verse is the affirmation that anyone can be Spider-Man. It's the you can and this is the example I've been sitting on for the last month and a half. I went to the C2E2, which is the Chicago Comic-Con, the big one in Chicago. The year at the 3 months after Into the Spider-Verse came out and a month after it won the Oscar. And to say that it was like Spider-Man everywhere and the feeling of jubilation as people were dressed up as Spider-Man and just enjoying each other's company, so many Spider-Man artists and writers were just over the moon because they were just like, it was just that feeling of finally not just a good Spider-Man movie, but a Spider-Man movie that reaffirmed what so many of us already knew, is that, it doesn't just have to be Peter. As much as we all love Peter, it doesn't have to just be Peter. It can be someone that looks like me, somebody that looks like Avia, somebody that looks like, everyone around the world, and they can be their own person. And it was just this nice feeling. But there is always the second part, the other half of that coin, and that is, even though everyone can be Spider-Man, not everyone wants everyone to be Spider-Man, and if they want you to follow by these rules. And what makes Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse such a brilliant movie is that it plays on the two most toxic things in Spider-Man lore, like Spider-Man history period. The first is the of course racial element of not my Spider-Man. Miles Morales isn't Spider-Man. Peter's the only Spider-Man for the litany of racist reasons that exist. It has been prevalent since Miles' introduction. It has been, unfortunately, initial piss poor job that they did of trying to differentiate Miles from Peter outside of him being literally an Afro-Latino kid. But anybody who read the early Miles comics can tell you Brian Michael Bendis did a complete piss poor job in trying to differentiate that. And it wasn't until much later, well, specifically Into the Spider-Verse, where Miles's voice started to truly become its own voice, not just aesthetically, but truly. And the second one is, and then this to me, what makes it so damn brilliant, I would argue more brilliant than Watchmen, come at me, is how it 100% critiques and dismantles the most toxic part of Spider-Man's lore, and that is its rigidness, that Spider-Man have to have certain things happen to it as seen in the canon events, because both of those things exist on the same spectrum. Like both of those are the bullshittery to justify bullshittery. Spider-Man have to have important people die in their life. They have to suffer. They have to be this. They have to be that. You have to do these things, or else you can't truly be a Spider person. You can't truly be great. You can't be as great as Peter Parker, because Peter Parker goes through all of these things. He loses his girlfriend. He loses his uncle. He loses his job. He loses. But he always has to get up and be Spider-Man, but he has to lose. That's it. I've seen comic book writers say that garbage. And across the Spider-Verse does is that it makes no ambiguity that that shit is stupid. That's counterproductive to being Spider-Man, because if Spider-Man has to lose and he has to accept losing, that doesn't make any sense. And when you do it to Peter, it can be cool. When you add that element to Miles and all of the other implications that come with it, you create a masterpiece, and not just storytelling, but also self-critique. Because now you don't just have, from the Spider-Man perspective, Miles, spoilers, has to lose his father because his father is a cop, and Spider-Man has to lose people important to him in order to become the Spider-Man hero he is, or else his universe blows up, which is like textbook comic book bullshit number 101. But when you add the factor that Miles is an Afro-Latino young black man, young Latino man, and basically, yes, Jessica's there, yes, Miguel is there, and they're not white. You literally have a billion other fucking Peter Parkers, basically, by some, yeah, dude, you gotta do it, you gotta let this shit happen. And like that's the box. People of color, black folks, that's the boxes we have. Go ahead.
And the fact that Miles knew that wasn't right.
Yes,
he automatically knew as soon as he found out what a canon event was, and he realized, that his dad was going to be his canon event. He was like, I have to stop it. Like I have to go home. Like I have to, protect my dad. And Miguel and everybody was like, no, like you need to let that happen. And he's like, no, like I'm not just gonna sit here and let someone kill my father. Like, no, that's not happening. And right. I feel like that goes into, like, if you look at things that in the fandoms that aren't right, who are the ones who speak out about it the most?
Yes, it's literally like, again, there is a and it's so subversive, because the whole lead up, they're like, oh man, we're gonna have more spider people that Miles teams up with and fight the Spot and all of this, and like, no, it's still it's actually less than Into the Spider-Verse, because Into the Spider-Verse you had Peter B, Gwen, Noir Peter Porker, and Penny, and they were trying to help Miles and everything. But Across the Spider-Verse is a complete subversion, because it's not until maybe the third act where people are like, okay, yeah, we kind of fucked up by not signing with Miles. Like the entire second act of Across the Spider-Verse, it's just Miles and Hobie, and we're gonna get to the GOAT Spider-Punk in a few. But like everybody else, more or less, is either like kind of indifferent as as they're seeing things, or they're like, yeah, like they're against Miles. And I've had this conversation with my brother about what this how this movie does an expertly does the job of not trying to play this ambiguous, because they could have easily tried to play, because most movies do this, where they present a large scale problem and they go, maybe the opposing people are right, maybe there is some truth to it, but they're like, but this movie, in my opinion, smartly just lays it right there, like, yeah, this shit is some bullshit. And it's ironically antithetical. Like, I'm sorry, y'all. I've been saying that word for God knows how long. Everybody here knows it. I do not know if it's a real word, but basically it's the antithesis of being Spider-Man, because as Miles points out, Spider-Man never gives up. Spider-Man has to, like, Spider-Man's first mind is he can save everyone. And it's not about if he can or can't. It's about him trying and believing he can. He can't, like, the fact that there's a bunch of spider people who who knows this, like, it's almost like it's like, in a way, Miles is by proxy is the only true Spider-Man, because like all of these spider people are basically given up and just consigned the fact to the people that they love are going to die, and that's just it. They just got to like take it. And that's not what Spider-Man is supposed to be. He's not supposed to be somebody who just accepts that. There's somebody who tries to save the day. Yes, they've like lost, but they're not supposed to tell the next Spider Person, "Oh yeah, man, shit just happens." Like that's like even if they're like your universe collapse, but even then, the movie never definitively says that is going to happen. It's a like the very first time like it happens to Spider-Man India's world, they use the word maybe. Like if we're lucky, we'll be able to save it, meaning that the universe can be saved. They don't definitively say the canon event is irreversible. And they intentionally do that so you're not thinking, oh well, Miles is like an idiot. Why is he not doing this? They're like, yeah, these Spider-Men do not have all the answers, and they're just letting their guilt dictate their actions. And Miles, being the one Spider-Man, the outlier by design by the Spider Society, but in reality, that's his biggest attribute. You know, he's able to basically see through the bullshit, parse through the bullshit, which then in turn helps Gwen see through the bullshit. And then, as we see, other Spider people see through the bullshit. But there was one person who saw through the bullshit from Jump Street, and I'm gonna toss it to Aaron because if you haven't noticed by the profile picture and the quote, he has a lot to speak on about that.
I do. Well, the goat, the goat Hobie, the Spider Punk, the Spider Punk,
Yes.
the man with the plan, the one who from the get go let you know he wasn't about any bullshit. Like he was real. He was really,
Mhm.
really real. And he knew out the gate like none of this was right because even though it didn't go like super into it, if you know the comics, man's been through it and he knows what is right and what isn't right, and that's why he's considered a vigilante more than some other Spider-Man if we really keep it a buck. And the fact he's a black man too, in an environment that there's a lot there that's way too political for this episode, but I'm gonna have to do a separate episode about like just Hobie period. But no, like this man helping Miles, from the jump if we really keep it buck, because he liked his vibe from the get go. We can't front about that. He knew that. Ooh, okay. I said I wasn't gonna make it political, but we're gonna have to. So him helping Miles the way he did, him knowing that these canon events were BS, him knowing that there could it's still salvageable, to avoid these things. In the geek verse, that's called solidarity. When it comes to people that look like us, it's called black solidarity. And that's another thing this movie spoke on big time, but specifically,
Mhm.
specifically in this film, I mean, if it wasn't for Hobie, Miles wouldn't,
Or spider bite.
or Spider Bite. Okay,
Yes.
yeah, Black Solidarity. You see what I'm saying? Miles would not have really had a chance. Because there's a lot of fuckery going on. Fuckery is afoot, as AVO like to say,
Yes.
because it's honestly insane. And just to tie it up, just to kind of tie it up before we really jump into the meat and potatoes about that, let me just point out because it's not me without doing this, and pissing everybody off. Um, for those of you that are confused about how this all correlates being black within geek spaces, let me use muldiversity as an example, shall we? Muldiversity is Miles Morales. Yes. Gwen are some of our counterparts who are there to help us. However, they've also shunned and turned their backs when a Miguel, aka Gatekeeper, says we don't belong. We don't belong because we're not following the canon event. Canon event is playing the game. Playing the game would be bowing to these people who won't pay their freaking writers. And that is a nice, quick summary of how this all ties up in a nice little bow for that. I think do we agree on that? Do we
Yes.
agree with that? That metaphor,
Yes.
does that work?
Yes.
Yes.
Because I peeped it, but no, like Hobie being so anti-establishment and a black man on top of that, that's a hell of a message because you could easily, like even in the comics, you could easily have made him, just a punk rock white boy, like Anarchy in the UK, but they didn't because, there's a lot of history there and just the
Hmm.
fact that this man is the GOAT. Like, there's
I love him. I
Hobie just Hobie is he's what he's honestly he is what Miguel and all of them are afraid of.
and the fact that he
This
gave.
is
Oh
just
my bad. I'm
there.
sorry.
No, I'm just saying it's there.
And the fact that he gave Gwen his bracelet to go
And he
on
didn't
tonight.
have to.
Right.
Yeah.
He did not have to, but he knew, because like you said, he knew that this was all the can event stuff was bullshit. Like just having to suffer, the whole idea of just suffering, for your spider sona, it's not that's not how that works. You
It's
know,
kind of it's kind of like the paying your dues, like you're
Yeah.
the paying your dues, like you have
Ooh,
to
have we
do
heard that?
Yes.
yes.
And that literally, again, everything that they're talking about is in the film. Okay? And it's not ambiguous. It's
Yeah, this is
literally like
definitely
it
black
when
and white.
it's like when I tell you that this film is designed to make like because I've seen people like ask, well, why wasn't Jessica? Why wasn't Ben? Why wasn't Gwen? Why didn't they side? That would have been easy. Trust me. As a super duper diehard Spider-Man fan, I cannot express to you how much in my brain is like, well, they could like easily do that. They could go ahead and like say, oh, have more spider people stick up. And of course, they were going to make sure Peter Parker was like specifically Peter B. Of course, he was going to be more like, in like not fully just yet, even though I would argue he was more so than that because Peter is inherently not a smart individual when it comes to these big ass decisions. That's just it. But it would be very easy for them to go, okay, Gwen still 100% is on Miles' side. Peter is, Penny, it would have been very easy to do that. But the fact that they committed to it, like there was, and they showed them at points where they would be susceptible to go for the bullshit. When Penny showed up, she looked very fucking tired. Like she just went through her canon event. At the beginning of the movie, we see what Gwen is like. And I noticed this watching their scene when they were under the gargoyle, a magnificently made scene, by the way, like
Mhm.
literally a beautiful fucking scene that was just like composed and everything, like how it looked and everything. Just so many screenshots, so many freeze frames of that movie can be literal art in museums. But a lot of her advice stemmed from the fact that she thought she experienced it. That's what Miles had to do. But it's like, yeah, like it was very ballsy and correct for them to be like, yeah, Miles, you're not us yet. You don't know what we know, so you can't really have a say so just yet because of who you are, and that has so many deeper meanings. And like Miles was saying, stop calling me kid, stop talking down to me, stop thinking you know what's best for me. And Miles proved it by basically outsmarting all of the spider people ever
Mhm.
that could possibly be. Even Metro Boomin Spider-Man, he outsmarted. So, that's just to show who Miles is and why he is somebody that us the viewers should not, should always look towards as knowing what they're doing. Which again, because I just can't get over the fact that most movies, like most, especially Marvel movies, I'm just gonna call it what it is. Most Marvel movies would have did some bullshit where like, yeah, but maybe Miguel kind of knows what he's talking about because he's like looked at the universes and stuff like that. They would have did easy mode shit, but this movie was like, no, these people are idiots. Miles is clearly right, and them trying to stop this just doesn't, like, it just makes them look like assholes, especially as spider people, because you're not supposed to just think like that. And it leads to super duper spoilers. Probably Miles's biggest test when we get to the end of the film, because, and I remember this moment in the film at the end was so like
I
so
loved it.
to me, and it was
Loved
such
it.
yes. So spoiler, 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 spoiler. If you have not seen this goat of a film yet, then come on, bro. What was you doing? At the end of the film, once Miles gets out of the Spider Society, he uses the teleporter to get back to what he thinks is his Earth. But it is said earlier in the escape scenes that the spider that bit Miles was not from his home, was not from his Earth, Earth 1610. It was from another Earth. So when Miles uses the scanner to go back to, get away from the Spider Society, he's not taken back to his Earth because it's not his spider. And he ends up in the universe that the spider was supposed to be from. And it's an amazingly done scene. It's Miles' affirmation that he's enough. But if you pay close attention to his outfit and his room, you slowly start to pick up on that it's not his universe. Because, are you going to say something, Avery?
Yeah, yes. I was actually just real quick. I noticed something like after, or like actually right before, because I watched Into the Spider-Verse like the day before, and I kept seeing the number 42 in Into the Spider-Verse. I kept seeing it 42, 42, 42. Like I kept seeing it, and then when I watched when I watched Across the Spider-Verse, I kept seeing 42. Like his jersey said 42. And everything else said, like there were like little clues in there saying, like, if you watch real close, you look at them, the number 42 is in there. You just have to know where it is. And then like when he realized he's not on his Earth, he's on Earth 42. I'm like,
even when the spider into the Spider-Verse, the spider that bites him glitches. Now, and not too many people have picked up on this. Into the Spider-Verse, it's supposed to be like, oh, the people who made the collider made the spider, and that's why it's glitching, because it's the same type of science. That's the red herring that they're trying to give you. They're not trying to make you think it came from a different universe, because as we watch the movie, there is nothing overt about that. But after watching Across the Spider-Verse, everything makes sense, because what do we know about when they come through the collider? They get sent backwards in time, technically. They don't all arrive at the same point in time when they come through the collider. So it stands to reason that spider must have entered the collider or got sucked through the collider at a different point in time than the other spider people. And so, long story short, Miles ends up in a universe, Earth 42, where his dad is dead and his Uncle Aaron is alive. And most importantly, Miles is the Prowler. And that cliffhanger is such an amazingly done cliffhanger, because it's the music cues, the way that they converge all of the themes together into like as a build up. Also, before I go any further, we need to talk about the spot. We need to just veer back into.
Okay, so one thing before we go into the spot. I did not realize that they also got another voice actor to play Miles from Earth 42. I was like, what? So Shamik didn't voice Miles Morales?
It sounded just like Shamik too.
Just like him. Jarrell Jerome played him. He did the voice of Earth 32 Miles. I'm like, what?
I almost didn't believe that article. I thought they were trolling until I read the interview from one of the directors that said, yeah, we talked to, when we had talked to Mahershala, we were like, yeah, we got your castmate from Moonlight as Earth 42 Miles. And so I was like, oh, wow, that man is incredible at doing a mile, like mimicking Shamik's Miles to a certain degree. But the spot, just to veer back into the comic booky story aspect of it, the spot was an amazing antagonist, because The opening of the movie shows that Miles is really gelling as Spider-Man, going up against his own villains, doing Spider-Man things, and how the Spot was directly affected by Miles into the Spider-Verse. He was the bagel guy. He was the guy that got hit by the bagel. Which I feel like was a fantastic thing to do because everybody that scene is iconic. So tying that scene into the larger story arc is amazing. But his whole journey to try to be Spider-Man's ultimate nemesis, just because, again, tying into Spider-Man, like the overarching Spider-Man lore, if Spider-Man creates his villains, they have to try to be his main nemesis. When you look at Green Goblin and Doc Ock and things like that, when those type of situations happen and they're like a direct connection to Spider-Man, they always try to be the number one or have a significant effect. So the feelings of inadequacy, the feelings, of trying to, like, it's almost a dark mirror of what Miles is going through, because Miles is trying to fit in, find his own path, and be his own great version of himself. And so is the Spot, and how the Spot went from goofy, fun villain to literal Black Air Forces, like damn near literally Black Air Forces villain who, is like, yeah, I'm gonna make sure you understand I'm your greatest villain and make us the best villain hero duo and everything. And just that background menace as these stupid spider people are trying to keep Miles from his home universe. The Spot just, like, the arts, first of all, the art style of the Spot when he becomes Super Spot is incredible. Just the way that he becomes so distorted and it just affects everything around it. And when in the Moonbat, God, that's a long word. I hope I pronounced it right. When he first becomes Super Spot and the way he's juxtaposed to that art style, it just looks so fantastic. And that ties into the fact that the whole reason Miles was trying to get back to his dad was to stop the Spot from killing him. And now he's stuck on Earth 42. He's glitching, by the way, because he lost his wrist that protected him. So now Miles is glitching, which can kill him. He's by himself, tied up by the evil version of himself and the evil version of his uncle. His stupid friends have just realized they need to help him and hopefully get to him immediately. And then if they get to him, he might not be feeling them. And then who knows how long it's going to take for them to get to him. He's going to be going through all of this. It's a lot. It's so much. And I don't know what the fuck they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do.
I can at least tell you what he's going to at least talk himself out of getting attacked by his version of the Prowler. That's something he's definitely going to do. This is in my world.
Because and then like another thing is like Miguel is on Miles's Earth. So what the fuck does that mean? Like, he's there by himself, just being a menace, being a jackass. Gwen and all the other spider people, they're going to different Earths to try to save Miles. I don't know. Is Jessica going to try to stop Miguel from being a jackass? What the hell is the Spot going to be doing in the interim? How is Tom Holland, Tobey Maguire, and Andrew Garfield going to play a part in this? Because they're going to show up, and they have to show up in an official cameo capacity. They just have to. I refuse to believe that there aren't.
Andrew already made one, but it wasn't himself. He made one, but it was tiny, very tiny. But he was in there. There.
They have to. I'm sorry. I know people are like, well, they're ripping off. They're like MCU rips off Into the Spider-Verse, and no, I'm gonna say it again. No Way Home is a Spider-Verse movie. It's not an MCU movie. It's an MCU movie for the literal first act of the film, and then from acts 2 to 3, it's an MCU. It's a Spider-Verse movie. It's not better than any of the up. It's not better than Into or Across, but the narrative shares the same. It's intentional, but they need to show up. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is that this movie's not coming out next year if they're not paying these animators. It's not. So they need to hang that bullshit up completely. Pay your animators, and especially, what time is it? It is 8:39. So the writer should be coming up with a decision in the next 4 or so hours.
The actors.
And the actors, yes, I'm sorry. The actors are going to be coming up with a decision within the next 3 to 4 hours. So that's going to put a damper on it. So they need to go ahead and just push this bad boy to
And they just need to go
20.
ahead and strike. Just strike. I didn't even know why we waiting. Just
Yeah,
strike
just
already.
yeah, they need to go ahead and work on that
Well,
because
while
they're.
they figure that out, I have something controversial to say.
Say
But
your piece.
yeah, say your piece.
I have two controversial things to say.
Ooh.
Wait, first,
One,
let's throw it over to Ian and Mike. Ian says Hobie and Spider-Bite deserve the world. They do. And Mike is saying Prowler Miles is going to beat up regular Miles. And Miguel versus the Spot. Miguel is going. I hope Miguel has a come to Jesus moment with the Spot, or else he is going to officially surpass Ben Riley as the worst Spider-Man ever, who deserves nothing in life. So
ooh,
yes.
that's very controversial. I have a lot of thoughts about that, but I'm going to save those.
Well,
First one,
it's not my fault, Aaron. He was anti-black, made every bad decision and sucks. I didn't make
well,
that decision.
well, well, here we are.
Like
And we
that's
are
not
here.
controversial when the movie gives you this evidence, man. Like
I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I've
He
accepted
was
that
willing.
Miguel
I mean, he was
is,
willing to be on Miguel's side. Like, I mean, he
and I
like
got problems,
that.
but it is what it is. Miguel is Miguel. But I'm just going to say real quick, uh, Jessica was mad at Miles because he didn't have the credentials. That's my first one.
no,
But
no.
that was
We
all. It
gotta
was
put
all
it.
meant to.
We
Don't
gotta
do
put
Don't
it.
it,
don't
We
act
man.
like you
gotta.
didn't.
Okay. Can I say something before Aaron? Before you go to your next point, can I say
Oh
something
my
real quick?
God! Yes.
So, if you do not have their credentials, because like let's say she didn't really, because she didn't know. She really didn't know what Miles. Because all we know is that Miles was pretty much fighting the Spot. That's really the only other villain that we know. I'm pretty sure Gwen probably told her that he helped help fight Kingpin when they were trying to destroy the collider and
He
whatnot.
beat
She probably
Kingpin. So like it's I don't know because Aaron, you made me feel type of some type of way because I know where you're going.
I,
It,
I didn't
look,
finish yet. So
it's
I feel like
there.
her being the most mature Spider-Man out of Spider person out of everybody, I feel like she's like, yeah, this young dude, like he like what
Who
is
does
he
that
doing?
remind you? Who does that remind you of?
Mm, mm,
Because if you look at it from the standpoint that I put out earlier, just once again for my viewers, it's okay to expand your mind for a second politically. Like Hobie inspired by represented that black solidarity that you expect, and Jessica was the antithesis to that. Going with the title and the topic of what we're talking about, boom, it's there. I'm just saying the credentials. Jessica wanted them credentials. Miles didn't have them. She was like, "You just some kid. It's whatever. You gotta go." Okay. He didn't write the article. I don't know, but 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 my second point, which I'm honest to God, we're gonna have to do like a whole separate thing where it's like the politicization of Across the Spider Verse because there's a lot there. The spot can be argued to be a very good metaphor for the edgy trolls to alt right pipeline.
mm.
It's there.
Speak on that a little bit. Speak on that a little bit.
I mean, the whole idea,
Like,
edgy. I'm gonna be a problem. I'm gonna prove myself that I'm this big issue. And the deeper and deeper they go, and they fall down these holes, these rabbit holes, if you will, these spots, it turns them into this monster, this horrible, horrible creature that sucks everything up and doesn't care who gets in the way, and it's going to prove one way or the other to be the biggest nemesis. And who there are like two um two sets of people. Well, there's only one group of humans, but ethnicities, if you will, where the alt right is like, I'm going to destroy this one way or the other. I shouldn't have to hold anybody's hand who's watching this. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. It's there. It is absolutely there. Like the spot becoming this eldritch abomination with its only intent on destroying everything in sight because it knows what it can do. It knows, and if you even think about it, what I'm saying is going through the multiverse is like, I really don't have to say it. It's like
No, I get you. It I'll say this. It's the spot, the more you say about it, the spot represents the type of toxicity when it comes to the caped characters, where it eats itself. It consumes itself because of its own obsession. Because the Spot is obsessed with Miles. He's obsessed with this Spider-Man. You know the means. You created me, Spider-Man. My Spider was, why'd you create him, Spider-Man? I didn't create him. It's this feeling of, I'm going to be the best thing for you, and all that it's trying to do is smother and suffocate. And again, somebody said this in their own point. Across the Spider-Verse is the biggest indictment on comic book writers and some comic book fans and storylines, while also maintaining true to what these characters are. In my opinion, I'll say it again, far better than Watchmen, because the people who made this were not mad that they signed a 360 deal with DC because they were just, British comic book writers. But I digress. I'll go into that soapbox another day. And what you said makes a lot of sense. Now, to get back to your first topic, don't do my sis Jessica too much now.
She did it herself. She did it to herself.
Don't
she
do my
couldn't
sis.
stand that boy the moment she heard about
mean,
it.
look,
She
there's
do that boy
redemption.
the moment she heard about
No,
it.
the beauty of this thing is that there is redemption in that particular.
Look, you're
Right.
not.
Like,
What
what
we're
it
not
is.
gonna do
It is
is
what it is.
we're not gonna make Jessica the stereotypical, I'm a black woman who don't like young. We're not gonna do that to her because that's not her.
Well,
We're not doing that.
that's how she was. Well,
That's how she was
came
portrayed.
off.
That's how she was portrayed. That's
You
how.
think
that's
just
how-
because she's a
She
mother,
lost.
you think just
She
because she's
lost.
a mother, she would have the compassion? I mean, we've seen worse.
Well, she
And here,
lost.
but going back on
presumably-
Aaron's thing about redemption, like if you know at the end when she saw Gwen going to his parents, like when she sees Gwen at his parents' apartment, she's like, okay, I don't want to protect her, but I'm here to make sure something don't go wrong. Like she's like I think Aaron's right. I feel like in the next film she's going to help that Spider team. Like she's going to
But
try.
right now, she's a good representation of
Mhm.
them folk, them kind of folk. That
Mm.
blankety blank 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 blank
The
blank.
crabs in the barrel folk. The crabs in the barrel folk.
Yeah.
Look.
Jessica felt like she worked her ass off. She's gonna be a mother. She is like a part of this really great group. And here comes this kid who doesn't have to have this, that, and the third. She would be damned. And I'm just like, that reminds me a lot of X, Y, and Z. It does. I mean, and even then, without that, you look at some arguments about some issues that are currently happening within the entertainment industry about influence and stuff. You can look at Miles as an influencer.
Don't
You know,
what are we doing?
he found his own way. He found his own route to become a superhero. He didn't have to go through the incredible hardships that these older entities, went through.
Look,
Look, it's just
And
think
the
of don't think too hard. Just don't think too hard.
look, okay.
Miguel said
Look.
that he wasn't even like real. Like you're an anomaly. Like you're not even the real Spider-Man. Like you're an anomaly. Like get.
And Miguel is a gatekeeper. Miguel represents all them gatekeepers. You know?
that is. I'm not disagreeing with you anything. I'm just saying. Look, okay,
Jessica is,
okay, look, okay.
Jessica is what she is. Okay.
Look, I am. We all know. Everyone here who's going to watch this video, who's been here long enough, knows I'm the forward authority on peeping that bullshit. And are you wrong? No. Could just have done better. Yes.
You just don't like that it was pointed out.
But all I will say is that did it make me mad to see that being represented through Jessica when they could have just used like threw a dart, like take Mary Jane off of it, just throw a dart at the other white Spider Women and just land on
Wouldn't get
them.
as impact.
You
Wouldn't get as
know,
impact.
they could have did that. They could have like, okay, I like Julia, but they could have made like another Julia Carpenter who didn't like Miles, like a random ass Julia Carpenter who didn't like Miles, and they could have did that. They didn't have to make Jessica Jones black. I mean Jessica Drew black, and then make her, you know, thinking that she's some sort of scholar or professor or whatever the case may be about spider people, and that they have an authority on whatever the fucking case may be at being spider. Like that hurt, because I'm like, I'm ready for Jessica to be on Miles' side. I'm ready for this, that. They got Issa on the track. You know, I'm hype. I'm geek. You know what I'm saying? And then they're like, yeah. She looking at that. She looking at him like, you gonna like. She's really looking at him like in her mind. If she's saying in her mind, and if she had the chance to just tell him flat out, you're gonna ruin everything for us. You're ruining everything for us. And like, and I felt the type of way about that. I ain't gonna lie, but like I said, it's intentional. They want you to be mad at these spider people because they want you to fully understand what Miles is going through. They want you to show the, as I call it, and shout outs to Black Nerd Problems. I believe that's their name. They wrote an incredible article. Link is going to be in the with a link will be in the description at some point this week. I want to make sure I got to find it, and I want to put it in there so you guys can read it. How this movie is, like, as we've said, is a perfect encapsulation on false solidarity between the, you know, like how nerds fail black nerds in like when it comes to solidarity. How the solidarity only goes so far. Yeah, you stop the Kingpin and stop the Collider, Miles. You're Spider-Man. You got to say like all of those things. And then when things get a little bit too big, you start to go, well, is he really Spider-Man? Or, you know, yeah, you got a point in benching him and things and blah, 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 you know, things like that. And that oftentimes, as we've said, is brought back around and done so to us in a lot, not us, well, us specifically, and us, the royal us. It's done many a times like that. But with that being said, we can talk about this movie for hours.
We definitely doing a part two because there's a lot.
Yes, because we gotta have a part two because there's somebody in the chat who's gonna be on the screen talking about it themselves, which is Mike. You know, after he gets done visiting Planet B and chilling with an alien superstar, he's gonna be back with us, and we're gonna continue this conversation more in depth. My final thoughts and takeaways are: I told you losers and idiots that this was going to be better than The Flush. I was right. To 261 million worldwide on a budget of at least 300 million. I mean, where they do that at? That's garbage. But we told you that. I told you that. I'm going to take credit. I literally told you idiots that, and y'all didn't listen to me. Some of y'all didn't. Not y'all watching us, but the y'alls out there who paid money to see that. After Ray told y'all to boycott the Walter Hamada movies, y'all still found ways to go out and pay to see it. I ain't forget. But I said that Across the Spider-Verse was going to be the best thing smoking this year. I was right. This movie is better than, this concept is better than Watchmen because, again, it's not. It is. It literally is. Take your pick. Take your pick. Lindenhoff, Snyder, or goddamn Moore. Take your pick which version. It's better than all three of them. And I love two of the three people I just named. So take your pick. It is better. Don't even get me started on the in-universe characters because ain't a goddamn thing from them is touching this movie. So take it at what you will. And yeah, you know, and yes, Tom is going to show up in these movies at some point. No, it is not some sort of like bad thing, as they've been literally teasing it since Into the Spider-Verse came out. It's gonna happen. It needs to happen. You know, when you give Tom good shit to work with, he's a pretty good Spider-Man. You know, just there nobody ripping each other off because Sony makes 90% of the major story decisions outside of the characters they can use. So please, guys, I'm not mad. I'm just a little disappointed that y'all still think that Tom showing up would be a Feige thing. It would not be. It would be because Amy Pascal did it. I'm trying to put y'all on game now. So when he shows up in one of these movies, y'all not going, oh man, Feige. No, I'm trying to tell y'all now. This was always the plan. It's gonna happen. Him, Toby, and Andrew, they're gonna show up not in a flashback in an official capacity. I'm just letting y'all know right now. And also, yes, Miles is gonna be in Secret Wars whenever that movie comes out. That's also gonna happen. I hope you guys really understand that. I'm not saying he's gonna be in the MCU for like moving forward, but they're absolutely gonna do that. So I'm just trying to put y'all on game now. Rewind if you like. I'm telling you guys this now, so you're not. What do you mean these characters are in the MCU or coming from? I'm telling you now, they're gonna show up in the movies. It's been probably in the works for some years now, and everybody's been on one accord. It's gonna happen. So it is what it is. It ain't gonna stop these movies from being. It ain't gonna stop these movies, specifically Spider-Verse, from being the best, And also, like, just don't rush the shit out. Like just don't. Just pay these animators the billions of dollars they deserve. Give them the time to actually work and not crunch them or give them bad working environments. Let them cook, and we'll be getting the best trilogy ever if y'all let them do that. So please, please, that is my closing thoughts.
Yeah, like going off on that, like I would, since the Into the Spider-Verse came out in 18 and this one came out in 23, like that 5-year gap was perfect, the perfect amount of time, and the fact that it's animation, like the actors may get older, but the characters will still look the same, so it's not like there's a rush. That's what makes animation interesting, because you can take 5 years to create it, and it's not as rushed, and you still can take your time and still make a masterpiece out of it. Now, as opposed to like a live action film where like you have to, like, as soon as you cast somebody, you have to make it like within like a 2-year period. So and I love this film. Like I said, the main reason why we want to talk about it tonight because it's amazing, and also the correlation that it has with us in fandoms, with Black people in fandoms in real life. And I'm glad we finally got to talk on. Well, we talk about it all the time. I'm not gonna say we finally talk about it, but we talk about it all the time. And the fact that they saw the comments, like they saw what was happening, and they were able to make a story out of it to where like we called it. Like as soon as we saw it, we called it.
We peeped it, as the kids say.
Like what's tea? Like what's tea? Is so.
Well, I can tell you that the next episode of the What's the Tea is gonna be a 3-hour Aladdin extravaganza.
Oh my god.
Also, Mike, you are hilarious because I'm looking at, because while it doesn't show up in our StreamYard, it shows up in the YouTube chat. When I started talking about Watchmen, all of the emojis you put, yes,
sexy.
These are hilarious. I'll stick by it. Let some folks here tell it. I got payola with Snyder and everything, so I can afford to say what I just said. I meant it. I do. I like. You're not gonna. You can't. I said it, and I meant it. You cannot put in front of me another movie, not the one I campaigned for 5 years and was correcting in its quality being amazing. Not the movie that came out in the other movie that came out in 2018 where the guy snapped his fingers. Not the movie about Wolverine being old. I love all of those movies, but they're not better than this. There ain't going, in my opinion, there ain't shit that's gonna be better than this. I told y'all before.
No.
No, because Mike and don't feed into Mike's little chicanery. Don't feed into that. Do not feed into that.
Yeah, because next time we're going to get into how everyone in the Spider Society being after Miles was a great representation of how RJ and Saggy and Matt Jarman and all of them were trying to call me out on some easy bullshit.
Yeah, so now Mike has to talk about that because we directly just said what we said. So, yeah, it's a perfect encapsulation of that mindset, in my opinion, and other mindsets. But yeah, in any case, we are back on our live stream grind, y'all, as well as we got some nice videos that we've been pumping out over the last couple of months. We are back on that grind. Yeah, he is, because he told us the whole reason we're even doing this at this. Yes, you are, Mike, because the whole reason we're doing this now at this time instead of waiting like we originally behind the curtain time, y'all, because Mike is trying to be funny on the internet. We're gonna go super duper late tonight, so Mike would be able to chat it up with us. But we made the decision to go ahead and give y'all the prime time slot because we were going to two-part it up. So next week, Mike could be on the track and say what he needs to say and his own mindset. But since Mike is going to be funny on the internet, we really finna be here next Monday talking about it, and chopping it up. Into the Spider-Verse is not better than Across. I'm sorry. I cry every time I watch Into the Spider-Verse. Like I literally cannot watch that movie and not cry at the end of it. But Across the Spider-Verse it takes it to a whole nother level. Like it really does, because it's not, they could have easily just went the skipping in the meadows romp direction and it still would have been a masterpiece, but they literally just turned it on its head and made you ask questions and everything while still being an amazing movie. IMO. Mike, your rating that you finna put in the chat where it's like, oh, here's my rating, and then because I'm seeing it on my phone too, because I'm not hitting on my phone. Here's my rating, and it's gonna be some sort of emoji or him leaving or him putting something in the chat. Brother man, you ain't getting out of this. So go ahead, drop your imaginary rating, and we'll see you at work Monday. So when you clock in Monday, just keep that rating in your head, and you can go ahead and repeat it to the beautiful people. Real Miguel energy. He really is. He really is. He really giving off that Miguel that I don't want to talk about. I don't want to talk about Miles. I don't want to deal with Miles. You see how I'm so glad y'all in the chat is seeing. We moving on to Spider-Verse, brother man. So it ain't
no next. We still
next is Spider-Verse. So it's gonna be Spider-Verse until until all four of us talk about it. So that's our through line. Matter of fact, we had some Mortal Kombat, we had some Little Mermaid we was gonna give y'all, but Mike done messed it up. Y'all ain't gonna be seeing that until we all four of us talk about Spider-Verse. He tried to be funny, so now we gotta stretch this Spider-Verse out until he talk about it. And then y'all can see the Mortal Kombat stuff we got cooking for y'all. Y'all can see the Little Mermaid stuff. Hell, I'm taking an L because now I can't talk about Aladdin like I wanted to. So, see, Mike, you just done messed it all up because now we can't talk about what we want to talk about until you talk about Spider-Verse on camera, on live stream. You see, because you want to play games, you want to pack it up, you want to get it over with. Now we got to talk about this movie for like the next 6 months until you ready.
Hell no. Oh hell no.
We gotta. As a matter of fact, I'm out here scripting my short form right now as I'm talking because we got to do that now. I hope you're happy, Mike. Since you're still in the chat, apologize to Avia. Apologize to Aaron about all of it.
What I do?
I said apologize. I said apologize to you, not you apologize to him. He got to apologize to you.
He ain't do nothing to me.
Are you trying to provoke me?
Look at me. Are you trying to provoke me?
Yeah, Mike is.
Don't make me get ugly on film.
Mike literally said, yeah, we'll talk. It was Mike's idea, as a matter of fact, for us to talk about it next week, y'all. So just to give you a little peek, a further peek.
Everybody out. Oh my God.
Because Mike trying to be funny. He's trying to be funny. Because Mike ain't told us not a damn thing about how you feel about this movie for a month and a half, y'all. I want y'all to understand that. Mike saw this movie and said that he liked it and that he was going to talk about how he feel when we did an episode.
That's what he told you?
He ain't tell me nothing about how he felt about the movie in depth. He was like, somebody liked the animation and I like the movie, but I'm going to say my full thoughts when we talk about it. He ain't tell me nothing.
Nope. Ooh. He joined us. What's up?
What's up, dude? You muted, or you just gonna stay? You just gonna be here muted?